When I started this channel, me and my team thought because of the content, it would usually be people who are above 50, above 60 only would be interested in this because I take Puranic stories, I take shlokas, chanting. Very surprisingly, the demographic showed us that people between 30 and 45 are very interested. Stories and chants started out with a very simple intention to remind people of who they are, to remind the Bharatiyas of where we come from. We have such a rich culture, we have heritage, we have so many stories. We have our Puranas, we have our Itihasas, but it's all being forgotten now. Man without culture is a vulture. We all talk about Rama, Rama, Rama. Rama's lineage, does anybody know? We were the leaders in science, we were the leaders in maths, we were the leaders in medicine, we were the leaders in psychology.
We were the leaders because there was nobody else doing that also. The current generation, I would say, is plagued with the mindset or propaganda of pseudo-feminism that is very heavily going around right now.
When have you seen sati happening in our society?
I haven't seen any.
In modern times, you've not seen any. Then why are we talking about it? That's what makes you who you are and makes him who he is. Why do we need to ape what a man does to be equal to him? If you go by Mahabharata, Pandu's wife, Kunti, didn't do sati. She stayed alive. Whereas Madri accepted and said, I want to follow Pandu. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.
Namaskar. Indian education system needs a major overhaul. If you agree with this, then you would love this conversation. And if you disagree with this, please stay with us till the end of the conversation because this is when your opinion is about to change. The creator of YouTube and Instagram channel, Stories and Chants, an IKS teacher, Srimati Sapna ji is with us today. Welcome to Breathing History, Sapna ji.
Thank you so much, Varun ji, for inviting me.
It's an immense pleasure to have you on Breathing History today. A lot of people must have seen your content now, and we wanted to reach to as many people as possible. The Stories and Chants has been immensely successful on Instagram and YouTube both. And I think it's the phenomenal success that you had is also validating because that tells us that that is the type of content that the society is consuming and wants to consume.
Yes.
So tell us everything about Stories and Chants, and most importantly, how did you come up with this name, Stories and Chants, such a creative name?
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be over here. Inspiration for Stories and Chants are my teachers. My father, I had an amazing history teacher who brought every moment of that history alive for us. She made us see the history in front of us. That kind of history teacher. And from then on, I have been hooked on to history. And my dad is another history enthusiast. So whenever we have conversations, it's always about history. It is on Puranas, it is on Itihasas, it is on Adhyatmic topics. So all of this has inspired me to explore these topics. And then I was a Balvihar and Balvikas. So as a child, my parents put me in Balvihar and Balvikas classes. And there I got to learn more. And of course, learning classical Bharatanatyam dance, I learned it for about 3 years professionally. And then learning about it, experiencing it has really helped me on this journey.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. And when I started it, I didn't have much viewership. Like hardly anybody saw it. There were no comments. There was no interaction. It was very thanda. Yeah. But we just walked the path. Me and my team just kept going. We didn't stop. We thought we are doing something that is very meaningful. We are doing something that has depth in it. So just walk, the results will come. And the results started coming in. It's just about last 5-6 months that we have started seeing a lot of interaction, a lot of viewership. And we are just starting this journey. We have a long way to go now.
Nice. How long were you working without like any good viewership? How long did you work like that?
Literally 2 years.
Wow.
Like we had viewership, 100, 200, 300, but not more than that.
Wow.
Yeah. And even the subscribers were not more than 300, 400, not much. So not very encouraging.
Initially, yeah. But
Yes.
so there was something that kept you going. So what is, now that you can see, what type of people are watching? What demographics are watching your channel?
So when I started this channel, me and my team thought because of the content, it would usually be people who are above 50, above 60 only would be interested in this because I take Puranic stories, I take shlokas, chanting.
Uh-huh.
Very surprisingly, the demographic showed us that people between 30 and 45
Oh, wow.
are very interested. Most of our content watchers, the viewers, are between the ages of 35 and 45, which is
Wow.
very surprising and which is very heartening.
Very good. It's validating, as I said.
Yes.
Like, it's really nice. Why did you keep doing this despite like not doing this would have been easy? Just sit at home, just watch Netflix, chill and complain that the government is not doing what it should do. The roads are bad or whatever. Because I'm sure like doing this without getting any views, it's not good to keep going in this and it doesn't feel good. So for 2 years to do that, to reach to this point today, why did you do it?
I'm a Balvihar teacher. Now, Balvihar is something that Chinmaya Mission has for children, where we teach them about our itihasas, our Puranas. We teach them shlokas, we teach them chanting, bhajans, and we play a lot of games that revolves around these stories. And this makes the children very interested in knowing more about it. And I have been a teacher for the last 12 years. So that has really inspired me. Now, during this journey, just a couple of years ago, my friend came and told me that you're taking this for the children. Can you take some chanting videos for the parents because they are also very interested? And this is a parent group in Facebook. And inspired by that, it started from Facebook, then went on to YouTube and Instagram. And that is how this whole journey started. The stories and chants started out with a very simple intention: to remind people of who they are, to remind the Bharatiyas of where we come from. We have such a rich culture, we have heritage, we have so many stories. We have our Puranas, we have our Itihasas, but it's all being forgotten now. Nobody knows. If I have to go and ask them, have you read the Shiv Puran? They will be like, what is Shiv Puran? Nobody knows. We have stopped reading. We have stopped listening. So this is my small help, or this is my small effort in bringing these stories back to life, in bringing the people back to their roots and their culture, to remind people of who they are and about the rich heritage from where they are coming from, to take pride in who they are, to take pride in their roots, to remind them. Because only when we know who we are can we rediscover where we can go. Nice.
It takes a minute to settle in, but I think it's a very profound statement. Another why, can I ask you? Why do you think it's important to remember who we are, where we come from?
Swami Chinmayananda had a very profound statement. Man without culture is a vulture.
Nice.
It is so that people don't become vultures. We need that culture. And I'm trying to provide that through my stories, through my introduction to the Itihasas, to the Puranas, and through our shlokas.
Swapna ji, you are also an IKS teacher, Indian Knowledge System. So what does that mean? अगर किसी layman को आपको समझाना है who has no idea about it. So explain उनको कैसे समझ में आएगा कि एक normal teacher, school teacher, college teacher और एक IKS teacher में क्या फ़र्क है?
In a nutshell, I would say IKS or Indian Knowledge System is our true history. Because अभी तक जो भी history हम लोग सीखे हैं, it is only doctored history. It has all the important parts have been cut off. The unimportant parts have been taught to us. If you ask any of my generation, we all know the whole Mughal Empire ka lineage. How many Indian kings' lineage do we know? We all talk about Rama. Rama's lineage, does anybody know? We don't know our true history. So IKS is the aim or the purpose of IKS is to introduce the true history about our heroes, about our heroines. In our history, we had so many queens who were extremely strong. Can any other country claim the same? No. Our sages, who are supposed to be only philosophical, who are only spiritual, they're actually scientists. And none of us knew about this. Our kingdoms were so vast. It's like the whole of India, east, west, south, outside of the present Indian borders, were our country borders. Did anybody know about this? No. Did anybody know that we had a king called Lalitaditya? We had no clue. The Ahom kings, we didn't know. So like this, we are introducing our art, our literature, our architecture education system, the Gurukul system. And we had universities. Our country was the first one to have numerous universities that were like Ivy League. People right now are going outside to the West to those Ivy League colleges. At one time, India had such colleges where people from all over the world used to come and study over here. The point and the aim of IKS is to ensure that people know that we were one of the leaders in education. We were the leaders in science. We were the leaders in maths. We were the leaders in medicine. We were the leaders in psychology. Nobody knew about this. In art, architecture, you name the field and we were the leaders.
Well, we were the leaders because there was nobody else doing that also, right? Nobody in the world was doing medicine the way we were doing it.
Yes.
But when you say an IKS teacher, are all these streams you mentioned are like pretty detailed streams, like when you talk about history or philosophy or arts or literature. So can somebody become an IKS teacher in history, or IKS teacher would be different from a history teacher who's not an IKS teacher?
So right now, the only distinction that we have between a history teacher and an IKS teacher is maybe the certification. And the second thing is the knowledge base from where they have researched their topics.
Okay.
If you're a history teacher, you have been certified as a history teacher, your topics and your material, your content, you usually take from people who are not Indians, who have not experienced Indian history, who have not experienced Indian life. Whereas with IKS, it is you take material, you take the knowledge from people who have lived that history, who have experienced the Indian life, who know who the invaders are and who the heroes are.
Makes sense.
Whereas for the history teachers, I don't have anything against them because that's the only thing that they have been told. And they have been told to propagate that particular knowledge also, that the invaders were our heroes.
Yeah.
Whereas our own local people who fought against them are not mentioned anywhere.
So basically, it is changing the source of information and trying to
Yes.
get to the right type of sources.
Yes.
More authentic sources, I would
Yes.
say, not right or wrong. And so is there a governing body that decides that these are the authentic sources and these are not the authentic sources?
The NEP 2020 has certain guidelines and certain books that you have to refer from to get an idea of what authentic sources are. But I think if you're an avid reader and if you are very discerning in nature, you can find out what is doctored history and what is not doctored, and it is authentic history.
Understood. Yeah. But if somebody is aspiring to be an IKS teacher, so if I am reading some history books, are there any prescribed history books or history sources? I'm just talking history, but anything, art, literature, whatever. So how does one become an IKS teacher?
You do have a lot of organizations who are giving a degree in IKS now.
Okay.
Because it's become a very in thing. And once you have a certification, you can go and teach in schools and colleges. What source you need to look into, try and stick to Indian authors. Or if you're going to be reading sources that are leftist, then please take the effort to also read something from the middle and from the right.
Understood.
Yes, once you have read all the three views, then you figure out which is true and which isn't. It takes a little bit of effort, but it's worth it.
So because I think either people do that legwork by themselves to read all three, or trust something, that has already been proven by somebody that these are trusted sources or not trusted sources.
Yes.
So I think it will be good to have a prescribed list of authors, especially when it comes to history, because we're talking about breathing history. So prescribed list of authors that we should recommend to read that are proven to not be biased and more authentic. So in contemporary, we would say Meenakshi Jain would be.
Meenakshi Jain would be there. Yes, Meenakshi Jain is there. And then you have Sitaram Goel ji. Then you have J. Sai Deepak in the modern authors. You also have Vaibhav Purandare. You have a lot of authors. We will be posting a list of all the authors that one can read to know what the true history is. Because they are very well researched, in depth, and they're very authentic.
So there is this ICSE, NCRT state boards that people tend to send their kids to. Nobody is talking about IKS in the volumes that other state boards are being talked about. So would this be a parallel system to NCRT, ICSE type of things, or will this be something that is injected in these education systems?
Ideally, it has to be injected into the mainstream systems. It cannot run parallel because then it would be going against what the mainstream is saying and what IKS is saying. Because the authentic history is not what is written in our history books. So it will be going against. So ideally, it has to be within the system. Not many have taken the effort to inculcate it into the mainstream schooling systems as yet. But a lot of talk has been there that it's being inculcated. The textbooks are changing, is what I have heard.
Is it a government effort or does it have to be a people's movement? How do we make sure that the NCERT books are in compliance with IKS? Like mechanically, the steps that should be taken, in your opinion, if it is to happen tomorrow, what are the steps that you will take to make sure that the books are compliant with, let's say, for lack of better words, compliant with IKS?
See, there we will need government support because they will have certain criteria that has to be met before you write that particular book. So it has the government support as well as the people's movement will only be able to take this forward. Only from the government side, it's going to be really very slow. If we need it at speed, people have to come forward and say, I need this changed right now.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that there is enough people talking about this right now, or we need more people, more influencers?
Not many are talking about IKS. Not many are highlighting the fact that we need this change in our education system. We need more people to come out and speak up about it.
So you just mentioned NEP 2020. Do you think the response or the implementation has been to your satisfaction or to anybody's satisfaction per se?
At school levels, no. It has hardly been implemented. Even now, most of the children, their books have not changed. They may have one sentence more than what they had before, but the kind of content that has to change has not changed. In college levels, a lot of colleges do approach for IKS studies. For engineering students, I have experienced that the engineering colleges want the engineering first year students to have 6 months of IKS studies. 6 months to a year of IKS studies. It may not make a difference in their total grades, but it is a compulsory subject that they have to take and they have to appear for exams. So in college level, the change has started.
So just to make sure that I understood it properly, you're saying that 6 months of IKS-based studies are compulsory before you do. So if they're going to study literature, they still have to do the IKS-based or compliant studies before they go into their regular curriculum?
It is part of their regular curriculum.
So did the government implement this or the university chose to do it?
I think the university chose to do it because they don't have an exam per se that they give where you get grades, but they have to do a presentation. They do have an external examiner coming in and evaluating.
So given that people know that you're an IKS teacher, and I'm sure you would want to see more and more of IKS teachers around you. But when people approach you, what are the types of misconceptions they have when they come and talk to you about IKS? Do they say things that you think are blatantly wrong or have totally misconstrued on what IKS means? Or they don't even know what IKS is?
There are a lot of misconceptions. The first and foremost are itihasas, are myths, and we have been fed that. And that is a misconception. Itihasa, the word itself says, thus it happened. But nobody wants to accept it. So that's one misconception. Two is that we didn't have any local heroes or heroines in our history. We are very weak as a people and as a culture. We get cheated very easily. We are very downtrodden. We are doormats. All of these are misconceptions. We also attained our independence through non-violence and peace and tranquility. That's not the case. Too many people have lost their lives. Too many people have fought. Hordes of people. I wouldn't say too many. Many is a very small word for the number of people who have fought for our freedom. But none of us know about them. Our ancient society was a very regressive society. Now, this is another misconception that is there. Our ancient sages were just philosophers and meditators, and they were not scientists. They were not educators. Now, this is another misconception that we have.
Nice. All these examples are real that people have approached you with.
Yes.
All those.
Yes.
And so those are pretty eye-opening, but also, I would say, expected. based on the way the books are written
Yes.
right now, right? So coming back to stories and chants, the name stories, that's the first word in there. You think what type of role did storytelling play in our history and also in the IKS system? Is it important, storytelling?
Storytelling is extremely important because stories have the power to make the imagination come alive. Stories have power to change people's lives. And by talking about our heroes, talking about our history, when you make it come alive for a person, who will not get hooked into it? And what is very fascinating is that these stories are relevant even today to today's audience, to today's public, what is happening in their lives. The stories are very relevant. You learn so much from them, from who Hanuman was, how did he live, from who Rama was, how did he live, what were his values, what were his experiences. All of those guide us even today. They are not old at all. It is eternal. All of these qualities are eternal, and it brings out, these stories bring them out.
What is the we say it in Hindi कि इस कहानी से आपको क्या शिक्षा मिलती है? We have to bring that back, and I think that moms and grandmoms telling story to the kids and grandkids, that is being lost nowadays, right?
Yes, it is.
That because that used to be a skill on how stories are told. So we used to love grandma stories, but do you think this generation is capable to tell the stories to their grandkids the same way?
You follow my channel, you'll be able to say the stories to your grandkids. But all
That's a good
jokes
plug,
apart, jokes apart, yes, we are capable if we take the time out and if we develop that interest. Yes, grandma stories are extremely important. Mother stories are extremely important. But, apart from those, we used to have these saptahas in all our villages, in our towns. So we used to have kathavachaks who used to come to every village and town, and they used to have saptahas, 7 days, 10 days. There used to be storytelling sessions along with bhajans. And in this, all age groups, right from 2 years old till 90 years old, used to attend. And that's how they got all of those stories. That has to be revived again. The Kathavachakas have to go out there, start telling the stories. Grandmas, mothers, they all have to start telling stories. Grandfathers, fathers, they have to tell their stories. The storytelling has to be revived.
Nice. You're using social media right now to take your message out there, but social media has the other side also. We are in Mumbai right now where there's social media obviously has a lot of effect, but then Bollywood is here. I mean, we cannot deny the influence of in the movie industry right now here. So how do you suggest we keep the influence out of our kids' reach?
You will not be able to keep them out of the kids' reach, no matter how hard you try, because you can't keep watching them 24/7. They are without you, with their friend circle who are watching those streams too. What you can do is introduce these other channels to them where they get authentic information. So they are watching this and that together. So they're not completely influenced by the Bollywood culture. They're not completely influenced by the Western culture because they also are watching the Indian culture videos. So use the social media in a way that will benefit your child. You cannot ban social media from anybody's life right now. We have to work with it. We have to walk hand in hand with it. But you can choose what they can watch, what they can't watch to a certain extent. When you are choosing what they can watch, introduce all of these such videos to them. Introduce all these such channels to them. So once they get hooked on, then it will only go from there. It's like a chain reaction from this channel to the next channel, which has similar content, to the next channel, which has again similar content, right? So that's the only way you will be able to help the children understand what are they watching and what is true and what is not true.
Yeah, so you're saying just replace the content, not
Yes.
take away the content.
Yes,
right?
you
It has
cannot
to be
take away the
replace it.
content because then they'll hide and they will watch.
Yeah.
Why do you want them to hide behind your back and watch? It doesn't make sense. There you cannot control at all. Over here, right in front of you, you will be able to control it. As time changes, we have to work with what we have. Right now, our most efficient tools are social media. Before, we used to have our gurus. We used to have our teachers who used to teach us all of these. They used to go place to place. They used to give pravachans. They used to give satsangs. And that's how we got it. Imagine if most of our gurus had social media, like Swami Vivekananda, Swami Chinmayananda. If they all had social media, where it would go? In between your Korean dramas, in between your Bollywood movies, if you can watch this also, it will help a lot.
But then these families, like in big cities, in metro cities, where the family is now doing pretty good, well-to-do financially, they want their kids to go in the elite schools, high fee paying schools, because that's the parameter of being a good school. Because if it's expensive, it's a good school. And how do you convince a family like that to send their kid to a traditional school, or even expose their kid to a traditional Indian knowledge system?
So a Western-based education, which is what most of the elite schools have, is good for kids who want to go abroad and study, because that's the culture they have over there. So get used to it so that it's not too much of a culture shock when they go there. You make them aware of what our traditional schooling systems taught. What are the principles? What are the laws? What are the content that is taught to the kids? By making them aware, maybe this change can happen. Likewise, if they're already going to an elite school, ensure that they are they have an exposure to the Indian culture schools too. Once a week or twice a week, send them to a class where they get introduced to these cultures. Or if you have the time and if you have the bandwidth, teach that culture to your child once a week. Have a one-on-one debate with your child about various belief systems, about various philosophies that made India, India. We have multiple philosophies. Atheism is a philosophy. Even though you are atheist, you are still Hindu. Yes? So these people are not aware of. If you are atheist, means you're not a Hindu, is what they think.
They use that as a cop-out answer also,
Yes.
that you don't want to follow any tradition. Why can't those elite schools also be compliant, or be, IKS be injected in those elite schools?
I would love it if it happens.
Right? Because
That is the best thing that can happen.
Because it can still be elite and have IKS injected in it, no?
Yes, it can. But frankly, I have no idea why this is not happening. Leave aside elite schools, even in our normal schools, IKS is not being put inside.
How do we bring that connection back to the layman so that it's okay to talk? Because it doesn't feel like I have no idea what to talk about, right? So make it a little bit more tangible to layman is what I wanted to ask you. Or is that not a good?
There are a few books that introduce these topics to the layman. So one is a book called Self-Unfoldment by Swami Chinmayananda. Then you have a very famous book called Bhajagovindam. We also have another book called Tattva Bodha, that is a book of definitions. So before we go into Advaita, Dvaita, Bhagavad Gita also, it is better that we get ourselves familiar with what our culture is, with what our philosophies are. They introduce our culture in a very layman way for everybody to understand. And once you have understood it, then we can go on to the higher books.
Understood. So these books, resources or platforms, there must be some way of figuring it out. Unless watching this video, other than that, how do they know where to start? Is that type of understanding being given by all the IKS sources or information or schools or colleges?
For sure, there are a lot of organizations that are working, like a lot of Hindu organizations. You have Chinmaya Mission, you've got Ramakrishna Mission, who conduct courses, who conduct classes where all of these are explored. You have a lot of courses and classes where you don't need to read books. By Shravana, which is by listening, you are able to understand. So using that medium also, you can attend, you can understand, and you can study. You just have to find any Hindu organization that is there in your area who is conducting such classes. I have named only 2, but there are numerous such missions available.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that the disconnect, the lack of participation in courses like this is because it is looked at like an extracurricular activity and there is no direct connection in my income to these courses. So for example, if there is a course in Java or HTML or anything that enhances my professional life through which I can make more money, that becomes more important than going to a class to understand a book like this.
I beg to differ about that, because Java teaches only about Java language and it's mostly only for computer professionals. Whereas these courses and these books make everybody's life better. no matter what age you are, no matter what gender you are.
Java or no Java, your life would be better.
Yes.
So it's more like people are not able to see this, is what I'm saying. The marketing may not be right, you think?
Yes, the marketing is not enough
At
to
par.
make people aware that they have these options available to them.
Mhm.
But again, the moment you talk about anything Indian, anything Hindu, unfortunately, a lot of people switch off.
Mhm.
And we need to address that switch off first.
Correct. So maybe that is why I keep coming back to marketing, because if you market a product properly, then you can sell a lot of things that, like,
Yes,
the way it is, worst movies in Bollywood is marketed and people go for it, right?
yes.
So the packaging, I think, is missing in IKS, is something that we need to look at.
The packaging, the overall passion behind getting it out to the masses is lacking.
Mhm.
If storytelling is one of the mediums
Correct.
that will inspire people to explore. Like this, we have songs, we have bhajans, we've got a lot of other mediums where movies can be mediums.
Mhm.
Like now we have Kantara. So Kantara was one medium where we got aware about Panjurli Devta, a lot of other gods that none of us knew about,
Mhm.
right? So such mediums can be exploited in a way that makes it very interesting for the people, make it very intriguing for them to go and find out what is it that we follow.
Mhm.
Who are our daivas? What do our daivas teach? Do we have temples that are dedicated to them? Because each of our temples also have hundreds of stories. Each of our villages have so many stories, but we don't know at all.
Mhm. Because the math and science take most of the bandwidth, no?
Yes.
And I think that is supported by the whole system on, like, you learn math and science or whatever, only then that is the only thing that is useful for
Yes.
you to, for your
Nothing
career
else is
growth.
useful. So we don't have a holistic education system as yet. The moment the whole education system becomes more holistic,
Mhm.
then IKS is automatically come into your mainstream education.
Understood. So the narrative is
Has to
building
change.
as important, right?
Yes.
So this could be a call for all the content creators to
Step
make
up.
more content
Yes.
like this.
To
right?
step up and please keep throwing the content that is authentic and in depth and extremely interesting.
And extremely good quality.
Yes. Very good quality ones.
Next question that comes to my mind is the future that you think of IKS. That how do you think that Indian education system will work, either by itself or seamlessly integrating with the state boards and the national boards right now? How would the future classroom look like?
My vision for Indian education would be that one foot is in the past and one is in the future, and you are in the present.
Nice.
The children will grow having a pride for Bharat. The children will live with the culture of Bharat. And this will make a lot of difference. Our Upanishads are so rich in culture, in faith, in belief, in all of their teachings. And it's not been tapped. Even if you take just one aspect, let's say mental health, our Upanishads are so well versed to help us in our mental health to live stress-free life, and we are not tapping it because we don't know about it. So when I see the future of Indian education, I see the children tapping such resources and living with what they have learned.
The demand is not coming because the benefits are not being imagined or
Yes.
envisioned. I think you are doing a great job at making people see. You're an example of people seeing the benefits of IKS for sure. So for parents who have kids in the regular mainstream schools in convents, what are the things that they can do? Like, they can't take their kid out from the school all of a sudden and plug them into a different school all of a sudden, right? So what are the small tangible things that they can do on a daily basis that, they don't have to go out of their way too much, but still be able to inculcate these values in their kids?
So there are many things that parents can do. So like I said, we have Bal Vihar classes by Chinmaya Mission. We've got Bal Vikas classes. Lot of classes are there run by Hindu organizations. Tap those classes. Get your children into those classes. I am not asking anybody to quit the school or the college that they are in right now. Go hand in hand with it.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, we can introduce these topics when we are having family time together. We can have debates, we can have games, we can have quizzes. based on these different topics, because all of this will make that knowledge stick in the child's head. So you're sowing the seed in their mind. It will grow as seeds usually do. We water them. And for the parents to introduce all these to the children, the parents have to first take the effort to read, to understand, to assimilate, and then introduce this to the children, or do it together with the children. Be very honest with the child. Even I don't know, come, let's explore. Do that. And when we all tend to travel abroad. So travel abroad, no problem. Travel to India too. We have so many villages, we have so many temple towns, we have so many temples that are unbelievable architecture-wise, literature-wise, art-wise, that we can explore and be in awe when we look at them. And when we learn their history, we will start taking pride in them automatically. That's another thing that parents can do.
Yeah, much needed.
Yeah, Indian tourism. Start going inside India.
The current generation, I would say, is plagued with the mindset or propaganda of pseudo-feminism that is very heavily going around right now. And which is, I don't see any benefit of it the way it is going right. There is no bright side to this coin. There is no good side to this. So what does the IKS, or is there any reference to the way feminism is looked at right now in IKS or in our scriptures?
Our scriptures have mention of so many women who are extremely strong and who are very feminine. They are not fighting with the men to stand up for themselves. You are a female, be a female, completely and completely a female. You don't have to go into a competition, a show of strength. Each one has their pluses and the minuses. Understand them, respect them, love those differences, because that's what makes you who you are and makes him who he is. Why do we need to ape what a man does to be equal to him? It's not necessary. We can be true to who we are and still be equal to him. This concept is not being understood very clearly. But if you read about the women in the Vedas, if you read about the women in the Upanishads, if you read about the women in the Itihasas, you will see so clearly that all they're doing is just being true to themselves, true to who they are and what they believe in. They're standing up for themselves only based on this. And that's more than enough.
They're reading about sati being a norm in the society.
When have you seen sati happening in our society?
I haven't seen any.
In modern times, you've not seen any. Then why are we talking about it? When did sati happen? When the Mughal rulers came and invaded. You know what happens to women when invaders attack and we get defeated. It's a choice that the women took. Does that make it that all Indians committed sati? No. It was a practice because it was deemed to be necessary at that particular time.
That was Johar, not sati, no? The Mughal invasion.
But the principle of sati is the same, that you want to follow your husband into the other worlds too.
Okay.
So
what do we say? Should we say that when we're talking about feminism and I say that, yeah, you tell me to read sati, and as a modern feminist, when I read sati. So then what is our counter?
Sati was a choice that women took. Anything that is forced upon a person is not appreciated. Sati, when it started, was a choice that the women took. Some followed, some didn't follow. Like if you go by Mahabharata, Pandu's wife, Kunti, didn't do sati. She stayed alive. Whereas Madri accepted and said, I want to follow Pandu. So she told Kunti, please, can you take care of my children along with yours? Kunti said, yes, no problem. There itself, it's a choice. Nobody forced Madri to go follow Sati. Nobody forced Kunti, how come you didn't follow your husband? So if you take our modern history, Ahilyabai also lost her husband, but she stayed and she went on to rule India. The Holkar dynasty was huge.
Yeah, that's again, I guess, the narrative that was built.
Yes.
Right. So for that, would you recommend books from Dharampal in which he...
Yeah, The Beautiful Tree is an amazing book that people have to read to find out what actually happened in ancient India. What are the practices that were followed? The narrative completely changes in that book. It makes you understand. And then you realize what we have been fed all this while is completely false. It opens your eyes.
Thank you for shedding the light on feminism as well as all the other points. And thank you for having stories and chant out there for people to absorb. And I hope more and more people benefit from it. Thank you for coming to Breathing History, Sapna ji. It was a pleasure to have you. Jai Hind.
Thank you for having me over here. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.